Hi, this is Frankly Tarot. Whoops, excuse me. Coming back at you with another Frankly Tarot video. I've been giving some thought to the direction I would like my little channel to take. And I don't have a huge collection of decks, so I won't be doing a lot of walkthroughs or unboxings or top fives or things like that. Although I may show off my collection sometime. It's 10-ish decks, 9 decks. One of the big reasons I started this channel was I wanted to kind of connect or reconnect really with the tarot community and to step into the next phase of my practice and my learning of tarot and the occult in general. So I think that this channel, for now at least, is going to go into the direction of discovery. I'll be talking about various topics around tarot. I hope we can have some interesting discussions, even debate, always showing respect and kindness, of course. But for today, I wanted to share my tarot path so far. I'm not sure when I first became interested in tarot, but in college, I was definitely talking to friends about it, although I didn't have a deck of my own yet. For my 23rd birthday, and this, by the way, is 30 years ago, a friend of mine gave me her Ukiyoe deck. It's a Japanese style deck. She gave me this deck and a copy of the Tarot Revealed by Eden Gray. And this is the Ukiyoe deck. Upside down. It's a pip deck. I think I showed it on one of my other ones. And then you can see that it has its Japanese style. Let me see if I can't find one of the majors because, or at least a court card. That's really, the detail is really very, very beautiful in this. But this is my first deck ever, and Eden Gray. So as you might imagine, getting a handle on reading the cards with those two things in hand was pretty tough. And also I had no money in college. I was pretty poor in college and for a few years afterwards as well. And I was also hindered by my very conservative Christian upbringing. I was brought up in a Southern Baptist home. My mother had been brought up as a devout Catholic. My dad is a very conservative Christian, more and more every year. It's a little scary. But that's how I was raised, and that's what I internalized, and I still struggle with that. So in my early 20s, I was still coming to terms in a big way with those with my upbringing. I hadn't completely transcended it, and I don't think I have either. So, but finally I was able to purchase the second deck of cards, which was the Sacred Rose by Johanna Gargiulo Sherman. I don't have that anymore. This was also difficult to learn to read because all the books I still was learning out of my Eden Gray, and she used the Rider Waite, and I had another book which I think used the Marseille. So it was kind of a long road there at the beginning, but finally I broke down and I picked up a regular Rider Waite in a yellow box at a used bookstore in the city where I lived at the time. And so that accelerated learning. So for a few years there, I read for myself, once in a while for my sister, maybe a friend here and there, but that's it. And then in 1998, which is 22 years ago, I moved to where I live now, and I became more involved with paganism. There were other pagans here and people interested in the tarot and the occult. It was never a big group or a cohesive community. I live in a low population area, although it is a city. Excuse me. But I was away from my family, and I kind of let myself really begin to practice my practice. I truly got into the study of the cards. I picked up a few more books that really sent me on my way. And I wrangled and wrestled that Celtic cross and I made that spread my own. So of some of the books that really influenced me was, of course, everybody's The 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack. I'm afraid that this is going to be reversed, but here we are. Now, this is it's in a new edition now, a yellow cover, orange cover. You can see I've marked everything in here, the majors and the minors. And then another book, it's 2 books by the same group of people. One was Spiritual Tarot, 78 Paths to Personal Development. I don't know if this is still in print or available. I meant to check. 1996 is the copyright, so maybe not. But I found this to be a really good blend of the deeper stuff, the historical stuff, the real symbolic and metaphorical stuff, and practical reading. So that one was one I loved. And The Heart of Tarot, written by the same group. The 2-card layout. Now it's a book like these others where it goes into the background and meaning of all the cards, but it kind of centers around the first 2 center cards of the Celtic Tarot. And this is, once I got this book and read about how they approach it, that's when I was, or the Celtic Cross, that's when I was really able to develop a way of reading the Celtic Cross that I've used for years. And the Celtic Cross is a difficult spread, but it's a good one. I'll do a video on it someday, I bet. So these are the 3 real important books for my along my tarot path for really learning and studying the tarot. In 2006 or 2007, I became a part of a now disbanded witchcraft coven. And at this point, I have been reading the tarot for, I think, about 15 years, whatever that is, 90 to, anyway, a long time. And I continued, as a part of this coven, my teacher taught in a certain style, using the Rider-Waite, and so I learned that. I learned what she taught. And I've gotten rid of just about all the materials from that group, so I'm not really sure what books we used. But anyway, I left them in 2010, and it was a great experience. And I know that nowadays it's really not easy, or I haven't found it easy anyway, to find a cohesive coven. I mean, we met for every Sabbath and every moon, and then on Halloween we met on the night of the 31st, no matter what day of the week it fell, and we all did it. We all went to those. We all went to all the meetings, and 1 or 2 of us came from another country. So it was a really. It was a great experience. I really was happy to be in that coven, and I left when it was time for me to leave. Anyway, back to my tarot path. I continued to study and read intensely. I learned how to create my own spreads through hearing, I think it was James Wanless and James Wells. I don't know if they're still around. I heard them on various podcasts at the time. And then I did some really important work, really amazing work, with this book by Mary K. Greer called 21 Ways to Read a Tarot Card. And the idea behind this book, which you can get, is still around. In fact, I think I saw it at Barnes & Noble the other day, is that you pick one card from your deck, and then you go through and you do all these kind of activities. You write a story around the card, and at one point you kind of do some drawing. And anyway, I worked on the death card. I worked through this book on the death card. I don't think I got through all 21 activities, but or 22 actually. Nope. Yeah. Anyway, 21 or 22. I don't think I got through all of them, but it was a huge breakthrough looking at that card. And that is, it's a major arcana, so it's a very deep card. They all are. But this, I'm working through the world. I'm working through this book with the world now. So that, I think, is going to be interesting. I just started. I'm only on, like, activity 3 or 4. So then for a while I did a lot of readings for other people, and I had done some during my coven days for my coven mates, and but for a while I had a little shop or studio, and people would come in for readings and workshops, and I hosted some groups who would come in to be read for, and that was so much fun, and I really did love that, but I had to get a real job after a while. I also have done craft fairs and parties here and there, and those are really a lot of fun. But the craft fairs don't. Craft fairs eat up my weekend, and the parties eat up my evening, and I'm getting old, I guess. And then a few years ago, I stopped really pulling the cards out. I'm not sure why. About 3.5 years ago, I did a birthday reading for a good friend of mine, and then I didn't really reach for my cards again until just last month, January of 2020. I really don't know I don't know why. But then this fall, I picked up the Morgan Greer Tarot in a tin, along with Pixie's Astounding Lenormand in a tin. And they just sat on the shelf for 3 months. So, yeah, I don't regret the hiatus because I feel completely renewed in my practice. There's so much new stuff out there, like, well, it's old, but I'd never heard of modding my decks before, trimming the borders off or coloring the edges. I'd never heard of that until just a few weeks ago. So I tried it. I did some of that on one of my older decks. An older deck, but I still use it. And there's also some old stuff out there that I haven't really contemplated. For instance, I have this Marseille style deck. It's by Jonathan D. This is the back. Oh, here's it right side up. Here's the back. It's by Jonathan D. And I think it's illustrated by someone, Sandra Barnard. I can't remember. But it is, just the Marseille. How the Marseille has the swords and the wands woven in. I guess the Marseille usually has curved wands, but, and here's the strength. And then here's the magician with the lemniscate. This is very Marseille. I don't know anything about reading the Marseille deck. So I think I'll learn. I think that's my next thing to learn. I did use this to read when I was reading professionally, but I used the Rider-Waite meanings, and I got pretty good at it. And the reason I liked it, well, for instance, the Three of Wands is reminiscent of the Rider-Waite, and I think a lot of the pips are kind of reminiscent, even though there's no figures in them. But there's not, when you're reading for a client using this style deck, there's nothing for them to get distracted by. So I did use it, but I think I want to learn how to use the Marseille deck properly. I also have this Hermetic deck from God knows where, and I don't even remember acquiring it. So maybe I'll learn the Hermetic thing. Not with this deck, though. It's very difficult to, I can't really get a good handle on it. And everything down here is written in Italian. It's way too busy for me. Way too busy for me. Oh shoot, I just put them in order too. Oh, no big deal. But each card has a number at the top here, all the way through 78. So that's another thing I think I'd like to get a handle on, is how to read a Hermetic deck. But I'll have to, I think I'll buy a more approachable one. And I'm not going to fight with this one. That's for sure. Oh my goodness. But it's so neat. The cards are big. I can't shuffle them. They're way too big. And the backs are so witchy. I really like them. But, so that might be another, after I learn the Marseille, I'll learn the Hermetic deck. So I have a lot of tarot behind me, but I feel like in a way I have more tarot ahead of me, and I have more magic ahead of me. And I'm thrilled. I love being in this modern age, which I don't think is a sentiment you hear too much, but I'm thrilled to be able to like sit here at my kitchen table and make a video on an iPad that is 6 years old. I think that's awesome. And share this path with others that I'll probably never meet in person, but that's all right. This is starting to be fun. Anyway, that's my story in a nutshell. Since I do enjoy reading for others, let me know if you would like a free video reading from me. You know, say something in the comments or on the discussion tab. I think you could probably also message me privately, but I will be doing it on the video. As part of my channel. So there is that. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me and for listening to me ramble about my life in tarot. And so until next time, this is Frankly Tarot, and I will babble at you again sometime soon. Thank you.